is literally right around the corner, and there's a lot of concerns about voter integrity, including voter data. Is that exposed online? Are malicious actors able to get that and request people's mail-in ballots? What about on the ground? Are non-citizens able to vote in the state of Illinois? We'll talk about this with some voices from both sides of the aisle. Late last year in October, I asked State Senator Robert Martwick about non-citizens voting. Going back into the archives, we'll share some of his response there, and he ultimately said there's no federal law that allows for non-citizens to vote, but discussed ways that non-citizens in Chicago, for instance, can provide some kind of, feedback for school council races. So we'll hear that. But first, I wanted to get live with here State Representative Adam Niemerg, who yesterday announced that he's jumping on as a co-sponsor to State Representative Dan Calkins' bill to address non-citizen voting and making some of these actions felonies. Representative, thanks for taking time with us here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I guess just give us the bottom line here. What's this bill all about?
Well, this bill is very simple, Greg, and thanks for having me on this morning. It is a Class 4 felony if a illegal knowingly votes, or if an individual knowingly registers an illegal immigrant to vote. So it's very, very simple. And with this issue being so politically charged, especially at this point in time and over the last few years, I think it's time that we pass legislation like this to safeguard elections and for the future of this country.
Do we have any examples where we're seeing non-citizens getting registered to vote? I've seen headlines from other states, but are you familiar with anything in the state of Illinois where that's currently happening?
Well, we see all over the country. We see in Oregon where the DMV registered illegals to vote based on state IDs and driver's licenses. We see in the state of Illinois, the Real ID was changed last year to give illegals driver's license. We see the SAFE Act. So Chicago is a sanctuary city and the state of Illinois is a sanctuary state. It's a situation where we all know where this is heading. We have open borders. We have at least 12 million illegals that have crossed since 2021, and that's just the encounters. So it's a situation where we all see where this is going. We see the ICE facilities being closed throughout the state of Illinois. We know that this is a massive Democrat voter registration drive. And if we do not get ahead of this, they will be allowed to vote. Illegal immigrants will be allowed to vote. You look at in D.C., where just this summer, 158 Democrats voted against a bill to deport illegal immigrants who've committed sex crimes. In July, House Resolution 8281 required citizenship to vote, and 198 House Dems in D.C. voted against that measure. So we all know where this is going. We need to safeguard our elections here in the state of Illinois.
State Representative Adam Niemerg with us here on Illinois in Focus Daily. And in particular, I mean, obviously, you guys don't come back until after the election for fall veto session if you guys do anything at all. So, I mean, what's the likelihood of this getting anywhere, especially coming from, Republicans, where you guys are the super minority?
The truth of the matter, folks, everybody that's listening, is that it probably won't go anywhere. The Democrats have a 78-40 supermajority. We see the legislation that they continue to pass. We see the budgets that continue to pass, where we're upwards of $3 billion spent just on illegal immigrants, healthcare, and housing that we know about here in the state of Illinois. I still can't get a true dollar figure on that. While our populations, our veterans are hurting. The African-American community in Chicago is fed up with this. They're not getting any support in the city of Chicago anymore. All of the monies are going towards illegals. So it's a situation where we really need to watch what's coming. We really need to look at the dollar figures that are being allocated towards illegals. And we had a $900 million tax increase on this budget just this year because of the monies being allocated for illegals. So in the state of Illinois, obviously, it's not going to go anywhere, but we need to keep filing bills like this. And as Republicans, we need to stand united against illegal immigration and safeguard our elections and safeguard our communities against this massive flood of illegals that have been coming in exponentially, especially since the Biden administration has taken office and the Pritzker administration working hand in hand with the Biden administration. So we can't sit idly by. We need to raise awareness, and there are great people within these Dem districts that can bring up this particular bill with their legislators and say, we want action on this issue.
I've seen some pushback on this idea, especially with what the U.S. House has moved forward on saying that, they want non-citizens prohibited from voting, making it crystal clear in congressional statute. But some of the pushback I've seen is this seems to be demonizing migrants who are here, and just the various classifications. You got, the asylum seekers, which could go 4 to 7 years before they even have an asylum hearing. But you've also got those with temporary protected status, like some of the Haitians or some of the Venezuelans, who are here legally, quote unquote, but they're not citizens. So some push back and say, this is an effort to demonize those migrants who are here. What's your reaction to that?
It is absolutely not meant to demonize migrants who come here legally and want to go through the process of becoming citizens of this great country. I am all for legal immigration. That is a tactic that's being used by the left to pursue a political end of allowing illegals to be able to vote. It's all about power and control with the Democrats. If they have another voting bloc that they can bring into this country, that they can have vote in our elections, that they can put on the entitlement program saying, hey, come here, we'll take care of you, we'll give you free housing, free health care, free cell phones, free everything. It tears down the fabric of this country, because folks need to come here legally. They need to go through the process. They need to have pride and dignity in coming to this country and becoming citizens and becoming hardworking individuals that will pay into our tax system rather than taking from the tax system. So no, I think that's a fear tactic that's being used by the left to pursue a political end. And I am all for 100% legal immigration. I want this country to prosper, and I want folks to come here legally.
State Representative Adam Niemerg, and finally here, before I get to the clip of State Senator Robert Martwick talking about non-citizens being able to provide input to where, their kids go to school, say in Chicago. Your thoughts on that? I mean, they are obviously having children in schools in Chicago. Should they not have a voice when it comes to, like, for instance, local school council races in Chicago?
Well, it's just another step. It's another step for these folks to be allowed to cast votes, whether it be on the school board level. And in the school board level, there's a lot of money. There's, I think last time I checked, it was pushing $100,000 being spent, if not more, on these Chicago school board elections. So this is very serious. So that is at a smaller level. But if we allow folks to just continue to vote, to say, hey, we're going to allow them to vote in small school board elections, then maybe municipal elections, then state elections and federal elections. And it just keeps going and going and going. And furthermore, ISB was asking for additional monies. They just had a line item in their budget that just said newcomers. So again, I am all for legal immigration. If somebody wants to come here legally and they want to go through the process, 100%, that's the correct way to do it. But for folks to come here illegally, is absolutely wrong, and to get the benefits that everybody that is a legal citizen of this country, of this state, is wrong. For example, I wouldn't go to a different country and say, hey, now I want to live in this country, and furthermore, I want to vote in your elections, and I will do it so illegally. That doesn't happen. No other country does that. So why should we be doing that here in the United States?
State Representative Adam Niemerg, one of the co-sponsors of House Bill 5875. You can go to ilga.gov and type in HB 5875 and find that. It looks like you've got several Republicans signed up as sponsoring this as well. And obviously, it's we'll get some reaction to it and see where this ultimately goes. But greatly appreciate you taking time with us this morning. And we'll talk again in the near future, all right?
Sounds great. Thank you for having me on, Greg.
All right. It is Illinois in Focus Daily, and I did want to give you also what State Senator Robert Martwick said in the line of questioning I had for him back in October of last year. He was talking about getting the Chicago School Board set up to be elected and the maps that they were hoping to get into place. But I asked him about how non-citizens play into this because, again, non-citizens in Chicago, people want them to be able to sound off on school board races. These are local races, not to be conflated with federal races and federal elections. But here's some of the question and answer from State Senator Robert Martwick from October of last year. Dan, where's that audio? Let's make sure we got that on here.
If you could refresh my memory, the status of non-citizens being able to vote. They can.
So there is nothing in the law that permits non-citizen voting. There is a process where non-citizens can weigh in on the administration of resources in their local schools through what we call local school council elections. They're not official elections, but non-citizens can vote in those elections in the process that they've set up through CPS, and they can participate as candidates in those elections.
Is that going by the wayside with the new
That is not. That is not. The new school board was designed to really connect the school board on a more granular level with those local school councils and make their work, elevate their work, and make it more effective. And that's our hope, is that's what will happen. So there is nothing that allows in the law for participation in the normal course of elections by non-citizens. There's been legislation filed. There are many people that support it, including myself. But there is no legal way to effectuate that at this point. So there is things that are being done. With this legislation, there was the creation of an advisory council that will allow non-citizens to advise the city council on issues that specifically affect them.
And for those who may say,
Excuse me, the elected school board. I said
for
the
those
city
who may say,
council.
why should non-citizens be allowed to vote or have any say in this? What would your response be?
Well, the schools serve them. They are taxpayers. They are paying taxes that affect that go directly to those schools to educate children from their families and from others. And so I think that I think in a perfect democracy, all those affected by the governmental decision should have a way to weigh in. But currently in federal law, there is nothing that provides for that.
So again, just some of the conversation around the idea of non-citizens being able to vote, or trying to prohibit them to vote, or do we make it a Class 4 felony for anybody who is a non-citizen registering, or for anybody who knowingly registers a non-citizen to vote? Watch that bill closely as well. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily on America's Talking Network.